Okay, today is definitely a hat wearing day. Some days I try it out, see how it looks without a hat, and every day I go to a hat. There we go. That's a little bit better. Do what I can. Someone said at the beginning of the last video too, they like when I'm kind of acting like my normal self in the beginning of these videos. I feel like I'm pretty much my normal self in the rest of the videos. Maybe I don't talk the exact same, but anyway, welcome back everybody. My name is Tucker, and today is a really important day because it is the beginning of the restart of a series. That's a really good way to word that. Of a series that I do all the time, and it is NBA Trade Machine, where you guys send me your own trades in the comments section as well as over on Twitter, and I come up with a few of my own as well for a couple of players that are in some trade rumors. And I decided to go ahead and do one because I really missed this series. I know you guys too. So in today's video, we're going to be doing some NBA Trade Machine stuff for Buddy Hield of the Sacramento Kings. As always, if you have suggestions for future players for trade machines or trade ideas, leave them down in the comment section of this video. And following me on Twitter is also a great way to keep up with this series as well. But really quickly before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing, and leaving a like rating is also a great way to let me know that you're enjoying the content. With that said, let's do it. Okay, first up is a trade that I came up with for my very own Brooklyn Nets. It is Caris LeVert, Taurean Prince, and a 2020 first round pick via Philadelphia going to Sacramento in exchange for Nemanja Bjelica and Buddy Hield. As far as the NBA Trade Machine stuff goes, the Buddy Hield cap number is actually incorrect, so the numbers for this on screen don't work, but for Hield's actual 20-something million a year salary for next year, it does work, so just ignore that. Here's the mindset here for the Brooklyn Nets. Caris LeVert, in my opinion, is probably going to be a player that's going to end up getting moved this offseason or by the trade deadline next year. Not because he's a bad player, but because he's a very good one. But with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant ideally coming back healthy next year, and Spencer Dinwiddie being on the roster, and Caris LeVert being a player that is at his best when he has the basketball in his hands, that's just too many perimeter playmakers. And you might be thinking, well, Buddy Hield is the same way. We'll get to that in a second. For LeVert, I think he has more value to another team as a perimeter playmaker and a creator on a team that actually needs that, rather than a team in Brooklyn that has plenty of that and needs a little bit more off-ball shooting. In this scenario, they're keeping Spencer Dinwiddie as opposed to LeVert, just because I think Dinwiddie is a bit better of an off-ball shooter and a more ideal sixth-man type player. They're moving him along with Taurean Prince, which is a lot of depth for them and a first-round pick, but they're getting back two guys that are two of the best shooters at their positions in the entire league. Buddy Hield's role would definitely be decreased compared to what it's been in Sacramento the last couple of years, but I don't necessarily think that would be a bad thing, and that allows him to do everything that he is really good at, which is mostly shoot the basketball extremely well off the ball, adding to a floor spacing combination that hopefully will include Joe Harris if he gets re-signed this offseason, and then Bjelica as well, who's one of the better front court spacers in the entire league. So it's an interesting trade, and it kind of goes more towards the Nets need a third star-ish type player rather than getting a whole bunch of different complementary players. This is a lot to give up for the Nets, but if you think that Hield raises the ceiling and helps this team more than someone like LeVert, I think it's a trade worth making. Is it at 100% you do it every time? No, but that's not really what we're going for in these videos. We're looking for things that help both teams out in specific scenarios, and that's what's happening here with this Nets trade. This next one is coming from Austin over on Twitter, and he says that the Kings would receive Nikola Vucevic in exchange for Buddy Hield and a 2021 first round pick. So obviously here for the Magic, they need guys that can shoot. They need that perimeter creation that Buddy Hield can provide on occasion, and he would be a really good fit in Orlando. And the thought here is that you get Nikola Vucevic out, you allow some of the other front court players like Aaron Gordon, like Mo Bamba, like Jonathan Isaac when he comes back and is fully healthy. You allow those guys to grow with more minutes in the front court and at their more natural positions. For the Kings, they get another borderline all-star caliber player to go along with De'Aaron Fox, and this is also assuming that Marvin Bagley is either a full-time 4 moving forward, or you just don't believe in his development or his growth moving forward. And this for the Kings is just kind of about shuffling the roster and seeing if there's a new combination that will work better and figuring out the backcourt stuff alongside De'Aaron Fox later. For me personally, I don't love this trade for the Kings because I still think that Marvin Bagley's future is as a 5-man, and I still think that there's way too much talent and potential there to give up on him just 2 years in his career. And that's basically what this move says to me. If you're bringing in someone like Vucevic, that Bagley is either a 4, which I don't think is ideal for him, or you're giving up on him, which I don't think is ideal for the franchise as a whole. For the Magic, I actually kind of sneaky like this move. Vucevic is a good player, but his value is not going to increase moving forward, and Hield would be a really nice fit, and you're getting that first round pick in exchange as well. So if I'm the Magic, I'm doing this trade. If I'm the Kings, I'm saying no. Next up now, we have the Sacramento Kings receiving Gary Harris, Keita Bates-Diop, and a first round pick from Denver via Oklahoma City, I believe, or via Houston, excuse me, in exchange for Buddy Hield. And at first glance, this isn't really a ton of value for the Kings, and this is one of the lower value, lower return trades in this video for them. They're getting a player in Gary Harris that has been in a slump as of recently on the offensive end, but it's still a nice young two-way player on a pretty fair deal moving forward. Bates Diop could still be something moving forward as a versatile front court player, and then you're getting the first round pick as well. And this kind of allows the Kings to reshuffle their roster a little bit, go a little bit younger with Gary Harris, get that extra first round pick, and kind of just have a few more assets moving forward than they have right now in exchange for a player than Hield that has had some frustrations with the franchise. For the Nuggets, they're going up a tier certainly here in quote-unquote star power, as Hield is a better player right now, especially offensively, than Harris, and provides a ton of spacing similar to all the stuff that I talked about with the Nets trade here. For the Nuggets, I think this is fantastic value. I think Hield would be a great fit. The only problem is defensively he's not great, and neither is Jamal Murray, but Gary Harris hasn't really been that helpful or that healthy for this team anyway, so maybe it's worth making the move going all offense here. But on the offensive end of the floor, I think it's an outstanding fit in Denver. And if you are Sacramento, I'm probably saying no to this just because Gary Harris is kind of on the downhill right now. But if I start to see some promising signs from Gary Harris this postseason, then maybe I would consider this trade a little more heavily. Next up now, this one comes from Twitter, and Dr. Pecan says, two teams that are looking to win now. Mavs bring in Hield to help space the floor for Luka and add a third borderline all-star caliber player. Timberwolves give up on Culver after 1 year in an attempt to speed up their rebuild while bringing in one more shooter to pair alongside D'Lo. And in this trade, it is Buddy Hield going to Minnesota in exchange for Jarrett Culver and a lottery-protected 2023 first-round pick. So let's just deal with the players here first of all. And of course, here I'm specifically looking at the Kings-Timberwolves trade, not worried about the Mavs one here. So for the Timberwolves specifically, they're looking to kind of go further into win-now mode than they already are by giving up on a young player in Culver and giving up a future first-round pick as well for someone in Buddy Hield that would create a really nice big three in Minnesota, especially offensively alongside D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns. Defense would be an absolute disaster, but if you can score enough points, maybe it won't matter so much in some of these games. Meanwhile, the Kings, this is more of a reset Buddy Hield trade than really any of the other ones to this point. They're getting Jarrett Culver, who was a very high draft pick just a year ago, didn't have a great rookie season, but has the tools to be a really nice two-way player, and a pick that could end up being really valuable down the road. My problem here with this is Minnesota is unlikely to give up another future pick, especially that far into the future, when you never really know what could happen, and that could put them in an even bigger hole as a franchise moving forward as they could possibly already be. And I doubt that they would give up on Culver so soon and sell so low on him. Well, for the Kings, I'm probably saying yes to this depending on what the directive is moving forward from ownership. If they want kind of a semi-reset, I think this is a really good option. Culver can still be a good player, and that pick could be hugely valuable as well. So I could see both teams saying yes to this deal. And now last up is kind of a crazy one that I came up with, and it's the Sacramento Kings receiving a whole bunch of players from the Knicks in exchange for Buddy Hield. So it's Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, and the player whose name I can't pronounce, plus a second-round pick from Charlotte, plus the first-round pick from the Clippers in exchange for Buddy Hield. And again, the salaries work here on NBA Trade Machine. It's just a little bit off right now. So the Knicks are trying to get some talent in. They're trying to provide their fans with something fun to watch, and they're trying to cash in on some of these younger players and the extra first-round pick that they got in exchange for Marcus Morris from the Clippers. And then you've got RJ Barrett, Buddy Hield, Mitchell Robinson. That's kind of what you're building around moving forward. You still keep your pick, and maybe things start to look a little bit interesting, right? You want to have something for the fans at Madison Square Garden to be looking forward to. Meanwhile, for the Kings, you're taking some flyers on a couple of young players that could end up being pretty good, especially if Frank Ntilikina develops. That's a really good fit alongside De'Aaron Fox, assuming he can get better offensively. And then you're getting some future draft capital and assets as well. Isn't an ideal trade for the Kings? No, it's not very much value, especially compared to some of the other deals we've talked about to this point, specifically the Nets one. We've been kind of going down in value throughout the video in terms of the trades that I've come up with, but it's still an interesting scenario to look at depending on how low Hield's value actually ends up being to other teams and how desperate the Knicks may or may not be to cash in on a semi-star here to add a little bit more star power moving forward for their fans and trying to build something moving forward as well. And if they can have those three guys, Mitchell Robinson, Buddy Hield, and RJ Barrett, and then add a rookie this year as well that provides some kind of production, they can start to look like a pretty interesting team here moving forward. So that I feel like is at least an interesting deal, even if it's not maybe the most fair one. And yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.